I'd like to call the April 21st, 2022 regularly scheduled school board meeting to order, Rutherford County. We have already done our Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence during our special call. So our first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. If there are any questions, comments, or concerns, if not, we'll entertain a motion.
I move. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Estes.
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item, approval of the consent agenda. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item.
All right, number 6 is Spotlight, Rutherford County Schools Behavior Support. And that is Ms. Parker and Mr. Goulian.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I think I've seen most of you before or even met some of you. Thank you for this opportunity to share a celebration with you this evening. And as I'm talking, you can be watching the slides that highlight this practice at a number of the schools that we will be recognizing tonight. So for those of you who may not know me, my name is Pamela Parker. I am the District Behavior Support Specialist, although I'm not sure after the way my teachers behaved out there in the lobby that I should hold that title. Couldn't keep them under control. Sorry about that. They're just a little excited. So in this role, my work really focuses on student behaviors, and which is not an easy task, right? Most of my work falls into one of two areas. First, I support schools and teachers in identifying behavior issues of individual students and then working on helping to develop strategies for them. And then most of my work really falls into supporting schools in their implementation of a nationwide discipline framework, which in Tennessee is called RTIB. There are several members of our RTIB district leadership team here tonight. If y'all will just stand for a moment, I just want you to be recognized. First of all, most important, because he's my supervisor, Mark Goulian, Federal Programs Director. And then we also have Tracy Edwards. She is one of our Special Ed Board Certified Behavior Specialists. We also have Monty Parks, who is an instructional coach at Smyrna Middle School, and Amanda Adams, a school counselor at Rocky Fork Middle School. And there may be other people in attendance tonight who are on the leadership team. Okay, so most of folks on our leadership team are at the school level. They're school administrators, teachers, counselors, social workers, and they carry out the work of RTIB in the schools. Now, what we do as a leadership team is we meet monthly to check on how our RTIB systems are functioning in the schools, and then we set district goals, and we check in to see, okay, are we meeting those goals each year? So just to keep in mind, we have a district implementation plan you're probably familiar with. So this work falls under Goal 5 in that plan. And that goal addresses safe and healthy school environments and the education of the whole child. So that's our focus. So I am going to take a few minutes. Please don't cut me off. I just want you to have an understanding of what RTIB is so that when you hear it, if you hear that term, you're going to know what we're talking about. So in the academic realm, you may have heard of RTI, Response to Instruction Intervention, which we implement district-wide. It's also implemented statewide. This is our tiered system of supports for academics, and it focuses on reading and math skills. So when I say tiers, I'm referring to 3 layers of instruction and support for our students. So we provide Tier 1, for everyone. That's our high quality reading and math instruction for all students. And then we know, even with high quality instruction, we're going to have students who still struggle in reading and math. So then comes in Tier 2, an additional layer of intervention for those kids. So you may have heard it called RTI time or intervention time, or sometimes schools have another name for it. This is basically small group instruction with targeted skill instruction in reading and math. And even with that, we have students who still struggle. And then they will receive even more intensive intervention in reading and math. That's called Tier 3. Now, the term RTI another acronym. Response to intervention and instruction means that schools are making decisions for these kids based on data, based on how they respond to the level of support they're receiving. Okay, so now we turn into my world, the behavior world. So in the realm of behavior, not all of our schools, but 28 of our schools in this district implement RTI-B, which is Response to Instruction and Intervention for Behavior. Now, nationally, you may have heard this framework by other names, like MTSS, which is Multi-Tiered Systems of Supports, or PBIS, Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports. It's all the same thing. So regardless of the name, we're talking about those 3 layers of instruction and support, but it's for behavior rather than academics. So Tier 1 in behavior, that's again provided for all students, and we're talking about really a school's basic discipline system. So when you were in school, when I was in school, we would be thinking of our school rules, our class rules, and then what happened if we didn't follow those rules, right? So we might have had to do some write-offs, or we might have gotten sent to the principal's office, or gotten a phone call home, but also what happens when we do follow the rules. So I know in most of my schools, we got a conduct grade in your report card, and then at the end of the year, if you had all A's for conduct, you might have a conduct award or something like that. So all schools have some kind of Tier 1 discipline system, right? We have to, or we couldn't function. The difference in the schools who are implementing RTI-B is that these schools recognize that we should be investing the majority of our time and energy on proactive approaches, teaching and reteaching the behavior skills and expectations. So these schools have rules and expectations that are consistent across the building. They're continuously retaught and reinforced. We know that the more we invest in our proactive approaches, the less time we're going to have to spend on the reactive piece, the consequence piece. So these schools have also developed discipline flowcharts, because we know we still have to have a consequence piece. So in these schools, there's a clear understanding of how staff and teachers will respond to misbehaviors. Is it a perfect system? No. Do we still have kids misbehaving? Yes, we always will. But the idea is continuously improving, looking at our data. Are we meeting kids' needs? Are we reducing office discipline referrals, and things like that. So we talked about Tier 1 in behavior. Even with clear teaching of rules and expectations, we are going to have kids who still struggle with their behaviors. So in the behavior world, then we're going to provide some Tier 2 interventions. So these may be students who need more instruction. They need more practice on their behaviors. They need more adult feedback. They may need to develop some improved relationships with adults and with other students in the building. So just like in the academic model, these schools have then developed a layer of Tier 2 behavior supports or interventions. These might be systems like mentoring, small group counseling, social skills groups, or check-in, check-out systems where behavior goals are set and students learn to self-monitor. They check in and out each day with an adult who helps them track their progress. In our pictures, you may have seen some celebrations for students who meet their goals over time and they graduate from their Tier 2 supports. Now, we have 10 of our schools who have also been trained to implement the top layer, Tier 3 of behavior supports, which is difficult and it's very intensive. These are supports for students who need even more intensive interventions. So for these students, the school team conducts their own functional behavior assessment and creates a behavior support plan individualized for that student, and then they track data on that student and fade those supports when we can. RTI-B also promotes the idea of staff recognition and support because we know that staff who feel appreciated, their voices are heard, they are empowered for the work that we're asking them to do, can do a better job with the students. Now, any school can choose to take on this work of RTI-B. I promise I'm almost finished and getting to the recognition. In the district where I last taught, every single school implemented RTI-B. The training is free. It's provided by Vanderbilt University, But one thing I want you to know is that unlike RTI Academic, where schools are provided with coaches and interventionists, sometimes educational assistants, schools who implement the work of RTIB do the majority of this work with their own existing staff, resources, and funding. So that's even more reason to acknowledge the hard work and commitment of these schools and their staff. In Rutherford County, over the past 7 or 8 years, we've had 34 schools who have gone through the training for RTIB. Out of those, 28 schools are currently implementing, and out of those, 15 schools are being recognized tonight for their dedication to implementing this proactive discipline framework and for their continuous efforts to improve their discipline systems and provide behavior supports for students. So at this time, finally, I would like to recognize these schools. Our first 4 schools were selected by Vanderbilt University's Tiered Support Center as schools of recognition, which means they have high-quality implementation of Tier 1 RTIB practices. So if you'll come forward to receive your certificate from Amanda Adams. First, we have Christiana Middle School. Daniel McKee Alternative School. Laverne Lake Elementary School. Roy Waldron School. The following 5 schools were selected as bronze level model of demonstration schools, meaning that their Tier 1 practices are outstanding, and they can serve as Tier 1 RTIB models for other schools in Middle Tennessee. First, we have Rock Springs Middle School, Rocky Fork Elementary School,
We didn't catch we didn't say it.
Rocky Fork Elementary School,
The mic didn't.
Smyrna Middle School, Stewartsboro Elementary School, Stewart's Creek Elementary School, and our final 6 schools tonight were selected as silver level model of demonstration schools for their outstanding Tier 1 and Tier 2 supports. These schools can serve as Tier 1 and 2 RTIB models for other Middle Tennessee schools. First, we have David Urey Elementary School. John Coleman Elementary School. Rocky Fork Middle School. Smyrna Elementary School. Smyrna Primary School. And finally, Walter Hill School. Congratulations to these schools, and thank you for your support.
Thank you. Congratulations. Next item.
All right, next is recognition of the JROTC Distinguished Leader Graduate Presentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 2 years ago, you approved some metrics for an award that we are going to recognize for the second time. It's the Distinguished Leader Graduate Award. Last year, our inaugural class, we had 4 people that met this criteria. All of them were battalion commanders in their corps of cadets. This year, I am happy to announce that we have 8 people that have met this criteria. 2 of them are not able to be here tonight. They are both from Laverne High School. They have their battalion award ceremony presently. At that battalion award ceremony, their battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Airman Hannah, and Captain Naomi Ivory are also going to get the Distinguished Leader Graduate from Dr. Hatchett, their principal. Additionally, Lieutenant Colonel Airman Hammond is going to receive a full ROTC scholarship from the faculty at the senior ROTC program at Vanderbilt University. These kids have achieved something really remarkable, and they're not kids any longer. You guys are men and women, and you are on a shining path right now. We're going to have a number of people from our ROTC programs this year that are going to go on to service academies. In fact, we have 2 members tonight that are also receiving ROTC scholarships at UTK. Olivia Boylock, she got accepted to the Air Force Academy. Also, Adriana Lopez got accepted to the Naval Academy. We've got another one that has enlisted into the National Guard. Every one of these men and women are getting ready to go do something special. This award that we're going to give tonight recognizes categories that we look for in leadership, and she doesn't know I'm going to do this. Alexa, what's the best way to lead? Yeah. We want to set a good example, and if we were going to pick the example of what we would choose to be in a leader, we're going to look for 3 things. We want them to be smart. We want them to be intellectually sharp. We also want them to be physically tough, be able to work long hours when other people are starting to drop by the wayside. But we also want them to be emotionally stable. We want them to make everybody else around them better. And there are some measures that you approved 2 years ago that would demonstrate this. Here are those criteria. You have to complete 4 years of junior ROTC. You have to have at least a 3.5 overall GPA and a 4.0 GPA in ROTC. You have to have achieved a 22 on the ACT. Additionally, you have to have demonstrated your commitment to other people and put in at least 12 hours in your senior year in the leadership roles of their service learning project. They must hold the rank of Command Sergeant Major, Captain, or above. They have to have participated in an ROTC extracurricular activity, a varsity sport for us, for at least 3 years, and you also have to have been the captain of that team in either your junior or your senior year. You have to have attended a summer camp. You also have to have achieved the national fitness criteria in each event of our Cadet Challenge, our fitness test, in their senior year. Many, many people do a lot of these things. Most of our cadets are capable of doing many of these things, but it's very special when you see somebody that achieves every single one of these together. It's kind of like the decathlon of everything. And these 8 people have done exactly that. So if I could, Mr. Spurlock and Mrs. Johnson, if you could come forward and put some medals and give them their graduation cords. And while you're coming up, I would like to recognize the senior Army instructors, the Army instructors, and the leadership at each of the schools that helped do this. This doesn't happen by accident. This happens because somebody has committed a lot of time and effort into getting them to be the best that they can be. So if we have any administrators, any of the senior instructors, the Army instructors that help these kids get here, please stand up so we can recognize you. They're going to come up. All right, on your feet, guys. Yep, medal, and then the certificates, and I'll give you the certificates. Rutherford County Board of Education Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps Distinguished Leader Graduate Award is awarded to the following: for displaying outstanding qualities of leadership, high moral character, noteworthy academic achievement, physical fitness, and exceptional aptitude for community service. Signed, Bill C. Spurlock. First one to Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Lauren Olivia Blaylock of Blackman. Yeah, just go ahead and sit back there. The next to Cadet Major Adriana Lopez of Blackman High School. The next to Cadet Captain Kylie Shupp from Blackman High School. This is the first time we've had multiple award winners from a single school as well. Laverne had their two. The next one to Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Alexa Powers of Oakland High School. And the next one didn't know he was getting this tonight. He's already turned in his uniform, but he still did a great job. Cadet Captain Ethan Stewart of Siegel High School. And although their principal and their senior Army instructor could not be here tonight, you guys have a school award ceremony going on. This goes to Cadet Command Sergeant Major Albert Kupchak of Stewart's Creek. Thank you, Mr. Spurlock, Ms. Johnson. Guys, let's go out and take pictures.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Oh, we'll lose our
It's
crowd.
exciting to see the programs.
They do a good-
and the
they do a
students.
great job.
Yeah, they do.
Real great job.
Madam Chairwoman, I
Yes.
just want to say I'm very sorry I'm late.
Pull your mic to you.
I'm very sorry I was late. I got back from the funeral for my mom today, and I laid down, and I shouldn't have, because I woke
fine.
up
We
and
did- It's okay, we didn't expect for you to be
You're
here.
okay.
We didn't expect for you to be here.
We didn't expect you, but we appreciate you coming and joining us.
Take a deep breath, take a deep breath.
Yes.
I may have gone a little past the speed limit to get here. I appreciate not getting pulled over.
We're glad you could join us. All right. Next item is visitors this evening. Our first visitor,
Is your mic on? Is your mic on?
my mic is, yes.
Okay. I don't-
First visitor is Mr. Dan Sinclair.
Thank you. Have y'all ever received anything that complements the information that I gave y'all tonight about the MSDS, which is Materials Safety Data Sheets? Recently, there was a proposal that a contractor got, and I went all the way back, all of 21 and so far this year, that there was a purchase order that was put out, never signed by y'all. Never. So if you ever reviewed that, or you didn't get this information, then you didn't get a complete, earnest opinion by the contractor called Trimco. One of the reason for it is if you look there, under those safety data sheets, they should be marked with highlighted. You'll find that this material that was being used, if you weren't aware of it, you were fixing to put on school children's buildings a chemical that can cause birth defects in women who are pregnant. And it's dangerous to the aquatic life in our community. The aquatic life, and you say, well, if they don't spill it, no, that's not it. This material that both Rutherford County was wanting to put on their schools, and the city has already implemented it on their buildings, but the city, I mean, not the city, the county buildings, it's really not that much different. But if you go to the last page on Aztec and you look there, it is so that you will be putting a coating on there that if it does damage pregnant women, it is carcinogen, and we have this rolling off of these roofs. It sheds. They don't tell you that. But if you look at that last thing.
Thank you, Mr. Sinclair.
All right.
Okay, our next visitor is Mr. Chris Littleton.
Hey everyone, quick comments. One, thanks for the roundtable just a couple days ago, very good stuff. Also, thanks for the better process in the charter review. That was much better this time, a lot more. I didn't get to come to the session, but I actually watched most of it online every time it's been held. So thank you for that. What I'm going to say, please understand that I know you guys don't have a choice in some of this. There's state laws or hoops you're jumping through. But I want to be a little critical of the process just to a certain extent. I don't believe that the local district should even be involved in this process. For me, this is like Burger King approving whether or not a McDonald's should open up in the same city. It's inherently oppositional because, as I've heard a lot of board members say, and also Murfreesboro City School board members, they're treating this like money leaving the system. But conceptually, I want to pose something to you. If you're not educating a child, because the child is not within that system anymore, you shouldn't be getting the money in the first place. So this also makes an assumption that somehow the money is the schools or governments at all, but it actually originated with the taxpayer. The taxpayer in this case being the parent. So if the parent says, I want my child to go to a charter school, that is just the parent's money following that child to that school. That is moral, that is just, that is right, that's the way it should always be. So to me, charters are just one form of choice, and that's really helping parents make the best educational decision for their children possible. So just just some parts on that. With the schools that have come forward, I know I can't sum everything up now. I have something like a minute left in this conversation, but there's three really distinct models. They're all extremely different. The one that was approved already and is going to be open here in a couple school years. And then we've got the two that are pending right now. I assume they're going to be denied tonight, which is fine. The process needs to continue. There's going to be reapplication at the local level, and then probably even go to the state level, which is also fine because I don't think you guys should be involved in the decision-making process in the first place. But they're very, very different models, and for different parents, those are important things. What will work for one parent in classical education is not going to work for another. What's going to work for one parent in kind of a Montessori-style model, which is what Springs does, is not going to work for another. And what works in a community classroom style, which is what Rutherford Collegiate Prep is offering, completely different style. And some parents currently are not happy with what they're getting in Rutherford County schools. But you guys don't have the ability to flip a switch for every single person and cater to every single student and family. I don't even expect you to do that. There's no expectation of that. So the right thing to do in any of these situations is empower the parents to make the decisions that make the most sense for them. So it's very frustrating to watch, even though it's a much more open process, and it's a much better process than it was before, it's just frustrating to watch online that the district has any role in these systems coming in, these charter schools coming in, because really it's a decision that the parents should be making in the first place, and that's just a decision between them, their kids, and the school of their choice. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Our next visitor is Ms. Maitland.
Good evening. It's nice to see you all tonight. As you know, I'm one of the leadership team members of Safe RCS, and we recently polled our members to see how they were feeling about the process of finding a new director. We posed the question, how do you feel about replacing the director by the end of his term? You all received a sheet. I apologize that it's hard to read. I only have a black and white printer at my house, so we'll follow up with a color version that's much more legible by email later. As you can see, a vast majority of the respondents are happy, 83%. We had 12% that were concerned and 5% that felt conflicted. I included in this, we solicited comments, and so we just put in the unvarnished, unedited comments so that you could hear what your constituents have to say directly rather than anything that was run through anything, but we don't have to get into the weeds with that. What I do want to say is that generally the concerns center around who's coming. You know, most of the parents are just wanting to know who's going to be the head of this district, and by and large, what our parents are looking for, the 1,500 folks that are in our group, they're looking for somebody who's a good communicator. They're looking for somebody who has both educational and leadership experience. They're looking for somebody who's receptive to feedback. They're looking for a strong multitasker, and they're looking for somebody with strong qualifications, like a doctorate. So, you know, we just wanted to share how our parents were feeling. You know, we also want to say, I'd like to say on behalf of our group, thank you for all the time that you're putting in and your leadership. It's hard work, and we recognize how many extra meetings you've had to have. It's a lot, and we are grateful that you continue to fight the good fight for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item, Mr. Smith.
All right, we have charter school applications that we went over on Tuesday. And the first one is the Springs Public's Empower Academy. And you have two motions here. If you have any questions from Dr. Chastain over that particular application, she would be more than willing to answer your questions.
Thank you. Mr. Reed.
With respect to both of the charter applications, the state law requires us to approve these by resolution or deny them by resolution. So you have before you tonight, for each of these applicants, you have one resolution approving the application and one application denying that, one resolution denying the application. The resolution denying the application incorporates the finding.
You're fine.
The resolution denying the applications incorporates the findings of the committee. So we discussed those extensively, you know, in the work session on Tuesday night. So so you have the two resolutions before you. If you choose to approve either of these, the motion should be to adopt the resolution of approving the charter school. If you choose to deny either of these, the motion should be a motion to adopt the resolution denying the application.
Thank you. Members of the board, questions, comments, concerns? We had recommendations from the committee, Dr. Chastain, on Tuesday. So if there are no questions, we'll entertain a motion. And the first one we're going to look at is Springs
Public Schools Empower Academy.
Make a motion that we deny the charter school application for Springs Public Schools Empower Academy.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton. I second. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. Ms. Hopkins, would you please take the roll?
Ms. Maxwell? Yes. Mr. Estes?
Yes.
Ms. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Sharp?
No.
Mr. Holden?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Reed, do we need to read the?
No.
Okay. And Mr. Spurlock, the next?
So the next one is American Classical Academy, Rutherford.
Okay. Questions, comments, members of the board? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we deny.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton. Ms. Hopkins?
Yes.
No.
No. Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Do you mind if Dr. Chastain explains what the next steps?
Yes, please.
That'd be
Come
good.
up, Dr. Chastain.
So we've already been in communication with both applicants to let them know, depending on this vote, we move in one of two directions. So we have 10 days to respond to them that it was denied on initial review, and then they have 30 days to submit an amended application. The recommendation report was sent so they have kind of that guidance, and then we will discuss with them what particular things we would like to see. So they have 30 days to present that, and then we will have 60 days to review. And it can happen faster. So we'll go through it as quickly as possible and then present findings again, with the goal being that they meet all the metrics that we have. So, yes, sir.
Sorry, I've got a question. So us denying it presently is due to, or it allows them to resubmit the concerns that we had with it
Exactly.
as far as the process. Now, that application process was developed by the state of Tennessee, correct?
Yes, sir.
For us to follow?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, next item, Mr. Sprague.
All right, number 10 is the approval of the Innovative High School Grant revision. The Innovative High School Grant was presented on June the 10th of 2021 by the TDOE through a competitive grant process. This funding period was from May 21 to September 30 of 2023. The total amount of this grant is $1,044,125.37. This grant provides funding to allow our Rutherford County schools to reimagine the use of our time, space, partnerships, and models of learning for student success. This revision is wanting to include 2 other career coach facilitators. These facilitators would be housed at Smyrna High School and at Oakland High School. Motion to approve the additional career coach facilitator positions. A career coach facilitator will be housed at Smyrna High School, and a career coach facilitator will be at Oakland High, and assist in reimagining the use of time, space partnerships, and models of learning for student success as presented, and provide them an opportunity to get some guidance on careers at an earlier age.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns, members of the board? If there are none, we'll entertain a motion.
I move.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item, Mr. Sprague.
All right, this is just an addendum, or excuse me, an addition to what Eagleville had been provided through this board in 2019, where they were able to add these camera systems through the National Federation of High Schools for football and basketball. They're now coming back and requesting baseball and softball we added. This will be a one-time cost of $3,500, and this is going to be paid by a parent. Mr. Reed has reviewed this proposed contract, and he finds it to be in order. A motion to approve Eagleville High School entering into a 4-year contract with Play On Sports, adding the 2 additional systems of baseball and softball as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns, members of the board? If there are none, we'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Estes.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item, Mr. Sprague.
All right, this is our tenure recommendation. As you can see on those, page 5 and top of page 6, these are, teachers have been recommended for tenure, and they must meet the following: hold a valid Tennessee teaching license, has served Rutherford County Schools for 5 years or 45 months minimum within a 7-year period, and the last 2 in a regular position, not an interim. And they have demonstrated overall performance of above expectations or significantly above expectation on the team evaluation during the last 2 consecutive years of a 5-year period. And once again, above expectation would be a 4, and significantly above would be a 5. or if they've held tenure under previous guidelines and they returned to our system and they met this 2-year probationary period. Motion to approve these recommendations of the Director of Schools to award tenure to these teachers who meet the criteria for the 2021-2022 school year as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, members of the board? If there are none, we'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Breton. Second. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item.
All right, 13, courses offered for credit in grades 9 to 12 for the 2022-23 school year. It's found on tab 4. Our instructional department is requesting permission to offer these courses listed in the attachment for the 22-23 school year under the following guidelines. The Board of Education, due to policy 4.201, states in part, a listing of courses for credits in 9 through 12 will be approved annually by the board. Motion to approve the 2022-23 course offering list for Rutherford County High Schools as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns, members of the board? If there are none, we will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Breton.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item, Mr. Spurlock.
All right, the ESL department needs a comprehensive student information system so they can store the ESL student data on the compliance reports. EL Elevation provides the platforms to easily track the students, their language proficiency reports, the store state reports for compliance, and analyze the growth and share students' progress with their teachers and administrators. This platform is currently being used by 42 districts within the state of Tennessee. Now, yesterday, we removed the split, right, the cost, because there is money in in that line item to purchase this. So recommend motion to approve this contract with EL Elevation as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns, members of the board? If there are none, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item.
We're in financial matters found on tab 6, starting with the Central Cafeteria Fund 143. This is for the 2022-23 budget. Centralized Cafeteria Fund 143 for the 22-23 fiscal year. The budget has $24,710,000 in revenues and $27,259,983 in expenditures, and uses $2,549,983 of fund balance for the cafeterias. Motion to approve the Centralized Cafeteria Fund 143 22-23 school year as presented.
Thank you. Bless you. Any questions, comments, concerns, members of the board? We covered this at the work session, and we also had a budget workshop to cover these items. So if there are no questions, I will entertain a motion.
Move.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. Second. Thank you, Mr. Young. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item, Mr. Spurlock.
This Capital Projects Fund 177 for the 2022-23 fiscal year. Educational Capital Projects Fund, Fund 177, fiscal year 22-23, has $8,228,247 in estimated revenues and $8,228,247 in estimated expenditures. This money is generated through 5.5 cents on the property tax levy, along with $2,400,000 from our I'm real blank there. Equity facility tax, which once was known as...
It was the development tax.
It was once known as development tax. So, motion to approve the 22-23 Capital Projects Fund 177 budget is presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, members of the board? If there are none, we'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item, Mr. Spurlock.
We got two funds here, or excuse me, two choices here, and I'm going to let Mr. Baldry go over both of those. One includes a 4% pay increase for certified, and one includes a 5%. You want to go ahead, Mr. Bowdry?
That's right. Yes, sir. As requested by Claire Maxwell, to have two options for the board tonight for the general purpose school fund. The first option, option A, is a general purpose school fund budget amendment with the revenues that I have as of now, since we still do not have our state BEP April estimate in. That should be in hopefully next week. Hopefully,
We got the information now. It's supposed to be in next Friday. I wouldn't hold your breath.
Yeah.
But, you know, if not, more likely sometime beginning of May, we'll get our April estimate from the state. They were late like that last year. But based on our best estimates, we have $449,623,780 that we have at a preliminary revenue estimate. We also don't have the reappraisal, what the property tax is going to bring after the reappraisal, which, once again, waiting on the state. That should be today or tomorrow, from what I'm told to the House, that they'll get that from the state. With that in mind, we have for the expenditures with a 4%, that 4% increase along with all the additional additions to the budget that we reviewed during the work session. We have a preliminary expenditure budget of $490,270,359 in expenditures, which uses $40,646,579 of fund balance for the school operations. That along with the enhancements that we went over, just a 4% pay increase that this budget adds, along with a 3% increase for the RCS bus contractors per their contract. That is your first option, option one.
What was that number again for the fund balance?
That would go, this option one has a budgeted deficit of $40,646,579.
Gotcha.
Option two, as requested, is a 5% pay increase for all certified and classified employees in the general purpose school fund. And this, once again, same revenue number. The expenditures increase to $494,282,132, and uses $44,658,352 of fund balance to fund this above estimated preliminary revenues.
Well, in the last 2 years, what did we use? I remember, I think it was 18-19, we went into a $17 million
Yes.
Indian fund balance, and it was like 15 in 19-20.
We brought it down. This current year, we started around 15 mil. We actually brought it down a little bit with amendments, down just under 15 million budgeted deficit as we stand today.
Mr. Bowdry, can you repeat that number that will go into the ending fund balance on that last item?
The last item goes to, it is a deficit, a budgeted deficit of $44,658,352.
Thank you.
Mr. Bowdry, I don't know if you've, I don't know if you've gone over what the requirement is, the minimum requirement by the state as far as the 141.
It's a 3%, and so with this, it's around 15 mils. So I'm going to, once again, I'm going to be looking hard at that as soon as we get into, once we look at this. And right now, it looks like we could meet that. And with this, the question is going to be is if what's next year?
Right.
What's next year? And that, of course, is if you recall, this time last year, what we were doing with ESSER 2 was one of the things that this board approved was we had spent a great deal of funding through the COVID pandemic I can't even remember which variant it was then. But anyway, we were able to put back several $1 million of already expended local funds with ESSER 2 back into this. And as the board approved those amendments, that was able to go into the ending fund balance to increase our fund balance at the beginning of this current fiscal year. So there may be, it's, with that kind of an increase in the deficit, the thought is, of course, we could possibly meet the 3% fund balance test and be over that with that additional funding we entered in the fiscal year. Of course, the next question is what happens the next fiscal year? And that, of course, we have TISA, which is supposed to be additional funding. And of course, we've discussed this in our workshop, that this is a fluid budget document, obviously because we do not have some additional revenue, our estimates from the state. I've tried to do a conservative estimate. I don't want to shoot high and then tell you, oh, by the way. And Dr. Sullivan and I, we've been working with some items that we might be able to take off some one-time expenditures like textbooks, that we could look at ESSER funding. We could look at doing some purchases this year. So,
Dr. Sullivan, you might be able to answer this, or Doug. What's our ADM looking like? What's it been tracking at like?
Somewhere between 48 and 9 if we take out our voluntary pre-K and integrated pre-K.
Not enrollment, but I'm talking about the ADM.
yeah, we're at 49,000.
Is it tracking that much? That's pretty good. Yeah, it is good and bad. That's right.
Attendance department's doing a great job at tracking.
They're doing a good job.
Sir. But all that to say is this.
Oh, dear.
I didn't do it.
Amber alert. Amber alert.
As long as it's not a tornado.
Doug, they got you, man.
I know they got me. They got me.
Okay.
All that to say, of course, that is a large budgeted deficit, and we'll try to bring that down with whatever the board decides tonight of these two options before we go into with the joint meeting with Health and Ed.
Mr. Bodary, I appreciate the information. Some people, our parents may be asking, why are we passing a budget if we don't have all of our data? Can you speak a little bit to the requirements that we have to follow in order to meet our state law?
Great question. We are under, the county, Rutherford County is under what's called a private act, and it's a state law. It's a state law, but it has just application to Rutherford County, and it was passed back in the 70s originally, and it guides the county through its budget process for the county budget. In that private act, it has specific dates that at this point this will happen. And of course, the entire budget of Rutherford County for the annual operating budget, it culminates there at the end of June, where the county commission meets, and then per the private act, it says on this date you will approve a budget. So within those dates, it sets certain dates along the way to say by this date this will happen. So to answer that question, why we're at this point is, forgive me for running through the barnyard on that.
No, you're fine. Appreciate the information.
Per the private act, there's a specific date that the BOE has to deliver its budget. Deliver its budget to the county commission to be included in the comprehensive budget. The county budget committee met and set a budget calendar for the year and said, we need by the BOE's budget by this next Monday date to be sent up to the county finance department to be included into the comprehensive budget of the entire county. Now, does that mean that that number cannot change past that date? No. And like last year and the year prior, we went back, the board came back and said, okay, let's adjust based on what we've seen in our revenue numbers once we get a good hard number of revenue, because like we just discussed, the state's late. You know, the state was supposed to get me an April BEP estimate, April 6th. Here it is, April 21st, and we're maybe next Friday. Same with the property tax. So we're going to have this presented so we can get it up to the county finance department per the county commission's budget calendar. But then, like we discussed at the last work session, looking at next year, trying to back this preliminary date for the preliminary budget back to May 15th, which would coincide with the private act of when the BOE would have its first blush budget.
Getting the estimate from the BEP will be a big part. Because you can always hold the line on the property tax until you see, it, we know it's going to come in a little bit more than what it was last year.
Correct, and it's, with the growth, reappraisal is supposed to be revenue neutral in theory, but we have a lot of growth. Anybody in Rutherford County knows that, and you're correct. I mean, it's going to have some growth, but when you're really working on an estimate with the BEP, which is over 50% of your revenue for this fund, yeah, it'd be nice to have that April estimate before I had the board have to make a decision.
So the deficit we're looking at, we really don't know how accurate that is because we don't know what our funding's going to be.
Correct. Majority of our funding, we do
Arbitrary number.
Well, it's the best conservative estimate I can give you right now. Like, for example, the sales tax. There's about $15 million more in sales tax than the current amended budget this year. And that's based on
numbers that were real as you could be real.
And being conservative before
a surprise would be on the other side, not the underside.
That's what I'm trying. I don't want to have the surprise on the other side.
How's the Tasser Fox? Have you got anything on that?
I've not got the updated for that, sir. That'll be in the April estimate, but we'll see.
What that does is identifies the ability of the local to pay, in the higher, I guess it's the lower the number or higher the number? I always get confused. Higher the number.
We are, well, we've had this discussion before, is just because the way the BEP works, and of course that hopefully will be sunsetting to a different formula next year, is the more ability to raise funds locally you have, the state will say, okay, you don't need as much in overall funding. We'll give it to a county that has, but
it's not changing. I don't know how to burst your bubble, but we're still staying with the Tasser Seaver. So it's staying that way. It isn't changing.
Okay, thank you for the information, Mr. Bodery. I appreciate you catching us up. Any questions, members of the board, for Mr. Bodery on the two options before us? Ms. Sharp.
I don't have any questions. I have a couple of comments, if I may. Thank you. Obviously, our teachers deserve the 5% raise. I have a hard time voting for something right now, not really knowing the solid numbers, with us already starting with a deficit. Do we absolutely have to vote on this tonight?
Yes, ma'am, you did. And we did last year. If you recall, last year we...
But I asked last year for us to start with a zero budget and put our raises in first. And then that way our teachers would be taken care of first and not last.
I think, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think what he originally did is, and it typically starts with what the governor is proposing. And correct me if I'm wrong, the governor proposed what essentially was a 4% increase in the instructional salary, right?
For the BEP funded positions is 4% in the governor's budget.
So you used that, that's what you used in the inception of the budget, when you started the budget.
Yes, I went to the top there with that, as requested.
In last year, if you recall, I believe it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, we actually proposed, the board proposed and voted on a raise, and we actually went back and had it raised. We were able to do that after we got our numbers in.
Great.
Yeah.
Same issue.
Yeah.
This year.
So that's the problem I have, is we're backing into these numbers and we really don't know what we're voting on tonight. We really don't. And with the deficit, even if you're conservative with your deficit, there's still a deficit. Even if it's 40 million or 14 million, it's still a deficit.
This county, and I see what you're saying, Ms. Sharp, but this school budget, the operating budget, has been, I mean, year after year, a budgeted deficit like every growth county in the state, because the state does not fund adequately.
Right, because we get our funding in arrears.
Yes, ma'am, we're always behind.
I understand that, but it could be possible that we could come back, we could vote on a 4% tonight, we could come back and give them 2 more %.
That's
if the revenues are more.
And in fact, we'll go to Health and Ed, and they may, they'll make some, they may approve it, they may make, request some changes. If they approve it, we'll go to that joint meeting, or do we go to budget and finance?
Go to budget and finance.
Budget and finance, and then you guys have that joint meeting with them.
Mr. Bodary, may I ask, if we don't vote tonight and Monday is our deadline, and we don't present anything to the commission, what does that do? What happens?
That's going to create some issues with just compiling a comprehensive budget. And once again, this, just like last year, you know, they need to have something to start with. We, you know, like I said, we went through the expenditures. We know this is where we're at with expenditures at this point. You know, with the best information we have revenues, and they're on the, down at the county, they're on the same side with the property tax reappraisal. They're waiting on numbers from the state. So I mean, it's what is presented at the first is not.
I don't disagree with Ms. Sharp's position. That's why I asked you the questions I did. There's apprehension and it's not your fault. It's just part of the process, I think. If there's anything we can do moving forward to give us more time, as you've already spoken about for next year, that would obviously be favorable. So whatever we can do as a board to have a more clear picture and plan for that, we'd appreciate any input you could give us on that.
And I think Mr. Young and Mr. Estes has been here the longest, and I would say you would, I mean, y'all tell me if you disagree, but our first blush at a budget that you approved is never the same, is it? Is that right, Mr. Estes? Would you agree with that?
True.
Thank you. Any other questions, members of the board? Ms. Sharp, did you have any other comments?
No, I mean, I absolutely agree that our teachers deserve a raise, and a good raise. I mean, they've had 2 years from Hades. But I think, you
Good
know.
recovery there.
I think just like everything else, we need to be conservative, and once the numbers come in, if we want to revisit this and give them more, then we can.
That's right.
And we do. And I will say, if you look at what the city governments surrounding us have done, they've given substantially more. So I know we're at 5%, and Mr. Bodary, I'm not going to ask for any more. But I think part of the challenge for me is that we are such a large employer that 5% looks huge, but it's very small individually for each of our teachers. And so we'd like to do more. I think the
And
mayor,
also our cities that are around here are not trying to build more schools to accommodate our children. So we also have that to contend with, that we're going back to the same gift horse, asking for more money.
Yeah, well, and would love to do what the mayor has suggested in 15% in the county. We know that's not realistic. Please, I'm not asking for that, but I just want to state that we would love to give so much more than we're capable of at this moment, but we do understand the deficit, and it's something more than nothing. So appreciate the work you've done.
If I can jump in there is one thing that you guys have done, and congratulations to the committee, the salary committee, making that change with the steps.
Mm-hmm.
That helps. And then recognizing the advanced degrees fully, that helps a lot.
And we've added flex days, and we're adjusting our insurance. So these are little things that we're doing to try to reach our staff and our educators. So I do appreciate all the work that's been done. Members of the board, if there are no additional questions, you have a 4% and a 5%. As Mr. Bodary said, this is a first blush of the budget going to the county commission, so we have opportunities to amend moving forward. However, we do need to make a decision this evening. So you have two options, and if there's anything else to the budget that you have a question about or you'd like to make adjustments to, we'll entertain it. And on that note, Mr. Bodary, I actually do. I would like to go back to, on Tuesday, we talked about an AP position converted for Eagleville, the graduation coach to an AP. And we had another school that had a similar request, they have 2 grade bands, Central Magnet, I'll name it. I did speak to the principal, and I have heard from people in the school and parents. Is it possible to make that change in our budget? Convert their graduation coach to an assistant principal?
The graduation coach at Eagleville is requested. That's been changed in AP. That's within this budget that's before you tonight.
Yes.
If you want to, with whatever you add with whatever is here, just if you want to, you're asking for another AP.
I'm asking for the same thing to what we did for Eagleville to do for Central.
Okay.
Yes, convert the graduation coach to an AP.
Okay, and that's, if that goes into a form of the motion, that's fine. And
Okay.
I'll do that, and I'll include it. And you're giving me permission to adjust this number accordingly to with whatever. Okay.
Yes. Members of the board, I have spoken to the principal at Central. They've been requesting, it's my understanding, for a couple years now, to convert their graduation coach to an assistant principal. So I would ask that you would entertain that. They do have middle school and high school. Additionally, Mr. Boder, we spoke about this earlier, I would like to add support staff to the legal department, whether that's a paralegal or that is, we took on Title IX, heavy Title IX with the law change in 2020, I believe it was. And I have some concerns about us getting through our policies and our procedures. And as we move to make those more transparent, I think we need to add another position to the legal department. So, members of the board, I will make the motion that we change the graduation coach at Central Magnet to a assistant principal, and that we would add an additional position to the legal office for support staff.
Paralegal, a full-time position.
A full-time position.
Classified at market
Yes.
value, at market range, okay.
Yes.
Mr. Reed, can we vote on something that's not on the agenda, that has not been out on public notice? I don't disagree with what you're doing, but
The budget is was on the agenda, so I think to the extent you've got items that are budget related, those things can be voted on.
Thank you.
I second your motion, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton. Ms. Hopkins, would you please take the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes, thank you. We're back on the item number 3, the budget. We need to decide whether we're going to do a 4% or 5% and send that to the commission. So if there are no further questions, members of the board will entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the budget, increase it from 4 to 5%.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. Ms. Hopkins, would you take the roll on that as well?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bodery. Yes.
Could I add, on the cafeteria fund that you approved, that those amounts are with a 4% increase. Would you guys please do a motion to amend up to allow me to change those numbers presented, those total amounts presented, to reflect a 5% in the cafeteria fund instead of a 4%, if that's the will of the board, to give the cafeteria employees the same increase as the GP fund.
Okay. Mr. Reed, can you?
Doug, how does that read? Doesn't it say certified and classified? On the 5%?
5% will be, but that's for the GP fund. This
I got
will be the,
Okay, I got you.
for the cafeteria.
So we need to make a motion to change the 4% in the cafeteria,
Yes, ma'am.
even though it says classified in the motion?
It's going to change the numbers in the cafeteria fund.
Okay.
So I'm authorized to amend those numbers within those lines.
Is their salaries out of USDA?
Yes, sir. It's funded completely out of USDA over in that cafeteria fund and meal charges, and so.
Mr. Reed.
There's a question?
Question is, we need to go back to item number 1 under financial matters, the cafeteria fund. In our vote, there was a 4% pay increase built into that, and we have adjusted to 5%. What's the proper?
If the board needs to go ahead and correct this vote and take a vote on the 5% if that's what the board desires to do. So you would vote to
Amen.
amend the action to be 5%.
So members of the board, you hear the issue before us. We are going back to item 1 to amend. Mr. Bennett, do you have numbers for the 5%?
Not with, no, ma'am,
Okay.
I don't. I'm just requesting that you authorize me to change the detailed cafeteria fund budget to reflect a 5% increase.
Okay. So members of the board, you hear the request.
I make the motion that we amend it to 5%.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. Ms. Hopkins, would you please take?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Next item, Mr. Spurlock.
Back on the 141, yeah, no, y'all voted on that, yeah.
We did, we voted on the 141 with at 5%.
All right, number 4, budget amendments for general purpose fund for fiscal year 21-22. This amendment requests funding for additional $1,000 to each full-time employee and additional $500 to each part-time employee of Rutherford County School System. This will be paid from the general purpose school fund and at the end of the current school year to compensate the additional duties that are assigned to our current school staff due to low staffing levels. Funding for this will come from portion of local option sales tax that has been collected for the current year. A separate similar amendment will be prepared for employees paid from school nutrition fund. This additional duty pay will come out of ESSER 3.0 through an amendment. The employee must do the following: must be a current, full or part-time RCS classified or certified employee, or be hired as such no later than January the 3rd of the current school year. The employee cannot have a break in employment in the Rutherford County Schools between January the 3rd through May the 27th of 2022 in order to receive this 100% of additional pay. The employee remains on an active employee status during this time period available and reporting to duty as assigned by the Rutherford County Schools unless having an excused absence or on a paid leave. Motion to authorize additional $1,000 per Rutherford County Schools full-time employees and $500 for the Rutherford County part-time employees detailed above to compensate for additional duties brought on during the current school year by low staffing levels. This general purpose fund of $6,094,620 for the general purpose fund employees.
Thank you, Mr. Spurlock. Members of the board, I would point out that it was changed to January 4th as the date because January 3rd was actually an inclement weather day. So please make that note. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns, members of the board, on this item?
And this is this current, so everyone understands this is this year's current budget, not next year's that we're working on.
That's right. Yes. 2 different budgets. Thank you, Ms. Sharp. If there are no other questions, we'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton.
Second.
Thank you, ladies. All in favor, who seconded it?
They both did.
Ms. Sharp and Ms.
Sharp,
Ms.
okay.
Maxwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item, Mr.
All right, number 5, amendment to the budget for Rutherford County Schools Summer Learning and Summer Bridge Camp. On January 22nd of 2021, the Tennessee General Assembly enacted the Tennessee Learning Loss Remediation Student Acceleration Act to address the learning loss of students due to COVID-19 related school closures. Through this new law, all school districts in Tennessee are required to offer learning loss remediation summer programs for students in grades K through 8, starting in the summer of 2021. The general purpose fund amendment is to budget $5,738,667 in state and federal funding for the operation of this state-mandated summer camp. This camp is projected to host over 4,200 students, K through 8, during the month of June the 13th. The school side include funding for the camp salaries, an SRO, crossing guard, transportation for the students, funding for the student nutrition services in a separate budget amendment in the school centralized cafeteria fund, and funding for the high school summer credit recovery school, along with the non-payroll items for K-8 summer camps. This all will be accounted through the federal projects fund utilizing ESSER 3 and IDEA funds. Motion to amend the general purpose school budget as presented for a total of $738,667 for the operation of the 22 Rutherford County Summer Learning and Summer Bridge Camps to comply with Tennessee Learning Loss Remediation and Student Acceleration Act. Funding from this amendment will be 100% derived from state educational funds.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, members of the board? If there are none, we will entertain a motion.
I move.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Young. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item, Mr.
All right, as we heard from Mr. Lee on Tuesday, the damage that occurred at Laverne Middle School roof, this motion is to request utilize the 200, not to exceed 200,000 from our 177 fund to replace the damaged roof at Laverne Middle School.
Thank you.
And once again, for the audience, the threshold of insurance kicks in would be
$250,000.
$250,000.
Thank you. Did you read the motion?
Yeah, a motion to approve the request to utilize not to exceed 200,000 from the 177 fund for the damaged roof at Laverne Middle as presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, members of the board? If there are none, we'll entertain a motion.
I move.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Who's second? Mr. Holden? Thank you. We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Next item, Mr.
All right, this is the Walter Hill playground request. Walter Hill Principal Laura Heath has submitted a request to install additional recreational equipment on the playground area. This request has been reviewed by Engineering and Construction and is approved. The cost for this is $7,209, and it will be funded through the PTO. Motion to approve Walter Hill request to add additional recreation equipment at no cost to the board as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns, members of the board? And this is in addition to what we already do as a system.
Yes, ma'am, and they're getting a brand new one as we speak.
Thank you. I'm going to clarify that. Okay, if there are no questions, we will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Breton.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? All right, next item.
Insurance. Anything on insurance?
Yes, sir. We talked with the State Department today, had a great meeting. They're going to set up some informational dates the first week in August, and then also invite us to their ABC Coordinators Roadshow that same week. So the first week of August, we'll be having them from both the retirement, the State Department, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and Cigna come to speak to all of our employees that are willing to come.
Thank you. Any questions? Next item.
All right, Director's update. You might want to go over what is contained in this binder here.
Yes, sir. So on your table is the binder that has all of the central office job descriptions in it. And then also, if you would like to see the ones for the schools, I have that as well, but I know the request was to see all the central office ones. So I divided them out by departments so that you could be able to see each of those. On the May 5th board meeting, we have two coming out of Mr. Goulian's office and one coming out of SPED, an additional job description that you'll see on the board.
Thank you. Members of the board, I asked Mr. Spurlock and Dr. Anthony to provide this to us so that we had a clear picture of what central office looks like, what the job descriptions are, and we'll have conversations about this moving forward in the future. Thank you, Dr. Anthony. Anything else, Mr. Spurlock?
No, ma'am.
All right. Next item. Ms. Maxwell?
I want to apologize. I don't have anything for today, and I apologize.
You are absolutely fine. We
You're
appreciate
fine.
you. General discussion. Anything for general discussion this evening? Okay.
I would.
Sure.
Dr. Chastain, thank you for your leadership on the charter schools. I just wanted to say, my vote for the charter schools had nothing to do with the reflective of the work that you and Ms. Bratton did. Our staff has done a phenomenal job. I think we're being a little myopic when we turn these down because we've got kids in closets. And I know my board members are tired of hearing me talk about this, but we are at a crisis and we have two companies who want to come in who have upfront money who can either build or buy and put kids in the seat. We've got them in closets. We have to find something. We are being myopic when we think that we can meet all the needs of our children. This is not an indication of our services that we give to these children. We need people who want to come in here and partner with us to help. So, just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. I'm going to do this. I had a conversation with, I appreciate your comments. I had a conversation with Dr. Chastain before the meeting, and my concern was, is there finality to this vote? And I found it very helpful, and so would you please come and share with us? So I said I wasn't going to, but I'm going to ask you to please come and share, because I do think it's a little bit confusing. This is not a vote to say, no, we're refusing the charter school. This is a vote to say, it's in continuation to our workshop, or our work session, where we reviewed your recommendations, and the committee's recommendations, rather, excuse me, and this is just a step in the process.
I've reached my quota for times up here. Yes, so we spoke today about this. I can't emphasize enough how different this year has been with these groups. And that's probably on our part and their part as far as understanding the process, but they are both willing to work with us. And I assured Ms. Johnson that this is a process that was expected. I spoke with the representative of Springs. I've already spoken with the classical group. They expected this. They know exactly what we have asked them to address. One of them is really about location. And as I told you, the big thing is we want to make sure that the students that we are proposing to go to these schools, that this is a viable fit for them, and that we can feel good about partnering with them. And I think that is a legitimate possibility with one or both of these groups. So we have 10 days to give them our official statement, and then 30 days to go back and forth with them to submit an amended application, and then we'll kind of do a bridge version of what we did before. So I hear you, and they really do honestly want to work with us, so we just need to make sure that it's a good fit and we have a location narrowed down.
Dr. Chastain?
Yes.
Don't forget to let people know that those packets are there from Springs, because it could be some things in there that
So this is
help us out.
this is a good example. One of the parts of the process that is kind of hard on our applicants is that it is so quick that it's hard to generate community support in the time given at that initial application deadline. So this is an example of that. As we continue through the process, they brought additional community support letters that we will add to our the new amended application. So these are for you and us to review in support of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Johnson, if I may.
Yes.
I also want to point out, we had questions with both charter that we wanted more information. The state recommends for us not to get any new information until the initial application is denied. So even if we want more information, they ask us to wait and just vote on an application and then request that during this process. So we had more information we wanted. And again, Dr. Chastain did an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you. We do appreciate all the hard work. We understand that we're in, our governor has made a decision. Charter schools are favorable. We do have issues within Rutherford County with growth. It's my goal and my desire that we would work with the best candidates. And so I do appreciate all your work and the clarification. Sorry, I had to. All right, if there is no further questions or comments this evening, we are adjourned.
Thank you.